Welcome back to Company Grip Guitar. I am Ben, and today I'm going to be looking at two pedals that were sent to me from Joyo. The first is JF15 California Sound, and the second is the JF16 British Sound. Let's get into them. Well, first off, thanks for tuning back into this channel. As some of you know, I have not made a video in a couple months. My real job that pays the bills kind of takes precedence, and I had to finish that contract out before I could get back into making videos. Now, I was a little bit sluggish on what topic I should do or how I should get back into the scheme of making videos, but conveniently Joyo sent me an email right around the time I finished that job and said, hey, if we send you these two pedals, do you think you can review them before Amazon Prime Day? And I think that deadline is kind of just what I needed to get into gear of making these videos again. So with that being said, yes, Joyo did send me these pedals for free, but they have not paid me or bribed me in any other way to make me say good, positive things about these pedals, which I appreciate. So it's my honest opinion about these, and we'll see how they stack up. Now, as some of you do know, I did review the Joyo American Sound pedal about 8 months ago, and I actually really love this pedal. And if you look it up all over the internet, a ton of people love this pedal. It's just a really cool pedal at an awesome price, and I've actually done almost every single one of my guitar reviews using this pedal since I reviewed it. So I'm hoping these other two pedals, the California and the British, can stack up to that. Let's get into it and see. So first off, let's start with the unboxing. So what you get is a pretty generic box right there. On one side, you get a sticker that says what it is inside, British Sound, and for the other pedal, you got it, it says California Sound. Once you open it up, there's not really a lot in there. Your pedal will be wrapped in this neat little bubble wrap, and then you get a little one-sheet manual with it that, other than saying the name of the pedal at the top, in this case this is the California Sound, gives you a very generic sort of instruction guide of what the control knobs do. For example, low, adjust the low frequency. Drive, adjust the gain. It doesn't really give you more detailed information about exactly what's going on or any frequency ranges or anything like that, but I don't really expect it to. I mean, these pedals retail for about $35 on Amazon.com. And speaking of that, they've actually got pretty high reviews, somewhere around 4.5 stars or so, over several thousand reviews for the Joyo pedals, for each of them really. That's pretty impressive. Now, there are a few negative comments every once in a while, but the one that I've seen the most is it doesn't come with a battery or a power supply. Now, myself, I don't really ever expect any of those to come with any pedal that I buy, whether I spend $35 or $500. So just beware, if you buy this, it's not going to have a 9-volt battery or a power supply for it. But speaking of power supply, I guess we should talk about that. There is obviously a slot for a 9-volt, like I just mentioned, or you can use a power supply. Now, this thing uses a standard 9-volt power supply. Very little draw. I think it's somewhere around 6 milliamps or something for each pedal. So you're not really going to have any power issues like you would with like a Strymon pedal, where you really need to have like a 250 or 300 milliamps, something like that. That shouldn't be an issue. Now, along with the power on that one side, you also get the input jack. That is the same on both pedals. On the other side, you get the output jack, not stereo. These are mono pedals. And then you get the 6 controls at the top. Now, these are the same controls whether you're using the California Sound, the British Sound, or the American Sound. These pedals all have the same sort of form factor, and that is that you get the 3 main controls at the top there, low, mid, and high. Then you get a level, which is your overall master level. You get a voice, and you get a drive. Now, if you did watch my video on the American Sound pedal, you might remember that this pedal was based on the Tech 21 Blonde pedal. Well, no surprise, these pedals are also based on other pedals. The California pedal is based on the Tech 21 California, and the British pedal here is based on the Tech 21, you got it, the British pedal. So what that means is, while there's not really a lot of information or settings guides or anything that come with the pedals themselves, you actually could go to the Tech 21 site and pull up their presets and find some of that information, which I have done right here. So for example, the British pedal here, what we've got is settings to do like a blues breaker style. We've got a JCM, we've got British crunch. For the California pedal, you've got settings here for Santana style or a Mark II lead style. Very helpful. Now, the only difference that I can find between these pedals and the Tech 21 is that the Tech 21s have a character instead of a voice knob, but it does, I believe, have the same function. Now, something that is important to mention about these pedals is These are amp in a box style pedals. Now what that means is you could pretty much plug your guitar right into the input there and your output could go straight into your DAW. You could certainly use another amp if you want to, but these are designed to emulate the amp inside the pedal. And so the California one is based on the Mesa Boogie style of amps, whether it's the Mark II or a rectifier or anything like that, whereas the British sound, same architecture, it's got the amp in a box style. This is based more on any Marshall, anything like that, and these will kind of run through the gamut of those sounds. Supposedly, that's, I guess, the intent on what is built into these pedals. You might be wondering, what exactly does the voice control do there? If I've got my low, mids, and my highs and the drive, well, what exactly is voice modifying? Well, as far as I understand it, what I've read, what people have told me is voice is adjusting different parameters that might be unique to different amp models. So we'll say on this side of the dial, it might have a tendency to raise the harmonics in the mid-high range and put a slight low-pass filter on. And then when we pop over here to the opposite side, it might be raising the lows, dropping the mids out, maybe putting a little bit of highs and adding even more harmonics somewhere along that range. And then it's basically sweeping or blending between these different styles. Now I just made those up. I don't know exactly which ones it's doing for which setting on here, but that's more or less what it's doing, is you're sweeping between different characteristics of different amps that are modeled into the pedal, and it's blending them as you turn along the entire array there of this knob. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of how this sounds on the California pedal. We'll start clean, then I'll give you some dirty examples. Now I'm going to put everything right up in the center here for the low, mids, and the highs. The drive I can't really have off completely or I won't get any sound, so I'm going to bring it up to just where it's audible at about the 9 o'clock range. The level, I'm going to scream that all the way up, and the voice, I'll turn that all the way down for right now. And as I play along through the sample, I'll go all the way down, I'll mid the voice, and then I'll max the voice. And I'll have to adjust the level along the way too, just so it doesn't redline too much. All right, so let's hear the clean sounds of the California pedal with the voice sweep. Now let's max out the drive and we'll go through the voice settings there. And again, I'll adjust the level as needed. So that's pretty interesting. You can see how much the voice affects the overall character of the California sound pedal. I'd say some of that stuff is certainly usable and really good sounding, and there's a decent amount of it that I don't see myself using. It's just kind of muddy and out there. Let's try the same thing now with the British pedal. So again, I'll mid the low, mids, and the highs straight up. I will turn the level all the way up, turn the voice all the way down, and again, I'll put the drive at right around 9 o'clock there, just to get a little bit of audible sound to it. All right, let's run through the clean sounds now. All right, that's the clean. Now let's max the drive out. We'll start over with the voice all the way down, and again, I'll adjust the level as needed. Just like the California sound, the British sound certainly has elements that are usable and other elements that maybe are a little bit more experimental. Maybe if you're into noise music or you're running some Moog synthesizers in here and you just need to demolish the signal for whatever reason, certainly there's use all across the board somewhere. It's just going to depend on each individual. I'm going to run through some of these settings here and we'll get going. So Joyo asked me to compare these two pedals against each other for you, but I don't really find it to be an apples to apples comparison. In fact, they're so differently voiced that I wanted to put this together for you just so you could get an example before I run through some of the other sound tests. So I've got everything middled out here, as you can see. I'm going to start on the British pedal with the bridge pickup on my SG here. Now we'll switch to the California pedal. It's much meatier, as you can hear. Now I actually think that the California pedal with the bridge pickup sounds pretty good on this. But where things get a little bit interesting is when you go to the neck pickup. So for the British pedal, we've got but on the California pedal, kind of sounds good at that volume. There's just a lot more presence to it. So starting with the California pedal, the JF15, this is the Boogie style clean setting. Now we're going to do the Mark II lead. lastly, I'm going to show you the one called Santana. All right, now let's check out the British pedal here. So the first one is the Blues Breaker setting. And this is the Van Halen style. And lastly, the Brit Crunch. So there you have it. That is the run through of some of the sounds on these pedals. There's certainly stuff that I really liked and that was usable on it. I think the British sound pedal for me has a little bit more versatility to it, whereas I found the California pedal got a little bit too muddy too early on, especially once the voice character got past, we'll say around noon. It just seemed like it added this boost in the low mid-range that I didn't really enjoy it too much. And at first I thought, well, maybe it's my humbuckers on my SG, maybe it's adding a little bit too much darkness to this. So I did try it out with a Fender Stratocaster to see if there was any difference in the tone. Maybe the single coils reacted better with the California tweed sound. And you can see how that went here. My vote's going to go to the British sound pedal. For me, it's just a little bit more versatile. But I'm curious what you guys think of the pedal. I mean, Lord knows both these pedals seem to have a ton of fans online, so people are certainly getting good results out of them. I will put a link for these in the description below, as well as a pinned comment in the comments section. Curious what you guys think about Joyo pedals, or these two pedals in particular. I'd like to thank Joyo for sending me out these pedals. Again, awesome time playing around with them. I look forward to playing around with them even more. And with that, that is the end of this review. Thank you very much for checking out my video. I will talk to you next time.